Shall we begin? Om Namastri Atirajaya Vivekananda Suri Satchit Sukasvarupaya Swamini Tapaharini. Continuing our discussion, another remarkable contribution of Swamiji was, in a great way, he eliminated this idea of Adhikari Bhed. See, in the ancient times, only the Brahmanas alone were qualified, or they alone were allowed to pursue this Brahma Vidya, etc. Nobody else had the access to this. And of course, the sadhana chatushtay qualifications are so tough, क्योंकि आप जो पहला चीज है नित्य अनित्य वस्तु विवेक, उसमें ही हम लोग अटक जाएंगे. दैट इज इनफ टू स्टॉप अस. एंड देयर वर अदर थिंग्स आल्सो. यह मुत्र फलभोग विराग क्षण समाधि संपत्ति मोक्षत्व, इस सब होने में if you have all this, then you are fit to come and study and also realize the highest. So naturally it was very next to impossible. But one thing Swamiji said was, everybody is eligible for the highest knowledge. That was an extraordinary contribution of Swamiji. इसलिए Ramakrishna and all the other outside monastic orders, etc., only Brahmins. But Ramakrishna mission में कोई ही, anybody can come. It is not subject to caste distinctions. And he says somewhere, even a shoe shiner, if it does his job to perfection, he is also pursuing the highest kind of jnana. So Swamiji somehow made this idea of the highest jnana even as part of all disciplines leading toward that. ऐसा नहीं है एक स्तर की बाद ही आप उसके बाद सोचेंगे, ऐसे नहीं. Even when you begin, every little attempt, every little going forward in the direction, we're all in pursuit of that. So he brought huge emphasis even on the method of the path itself. Whereas previously the clear distinction was, up to certain stage you are completely immersed in Dvaita. आप वो छोड़ेंगे, then your journey to the highest oneness of Advaita begins. But Swamiji is the major, if at all you call it a differential distinction. He made the path and the goal a kind of integral composite whole. He did not say that this part of it is unreal or this part of it is to be completely given up. See, not only that, this helps in an extraordinary world view. That's why, when he heard Sri Ramakrishna assert in his room, Shiv Gyan se Jeev Sheva, he said, Aaj mein kuch naya suna. His idea was, you see, then what happens? That is why, the famous, is a very famous introduction. All of you please read Sister Nivedita's introduction to the complete works of Swamiji. She clearly says, henceforth, no more distinction between the sacred and the secular. To worship and to pray is as sacred as to labor. So, everything, Swamiji said that every endeavor of humanity is a sacred pursuit. आप जो करें सब कुछ आपका साधन की अंग है, सब आपका हाईएस्ट ज्ञान की तरह, भगवान की तरह ले जाने वाले हैं, इसमें कोई ही फर्क नहीं है. Imagine that, see, that gives a totally a different kind of understanding or awareness of the life itself. Today, a corporate executive or a doctor or an engineer or a teacher or somebody, a sportsman, no one feels that he is away from Vedanta. Whereas earlier the Vedanta was completely eliminating every other kind of pursuit. आप सब छोड़ के, सबसे संपूर्ण रूप से मुक्त होके, अलग होके, आप कोई गुहा में, पर्वत में जाके आप ज्ञान निष्ठा अभ्यास करें, वही आपका ले जाएगा. Everything else is secondary or useless. All are in the world, in the samsara. But Swamiji, following Sri Ramakrishna, says everybody is in the pursuit of God. We are all in that pursuit. Imagine What a status Swamiji has given for all of us. The worst kind of person also can feel in moments of great elevation as I am also in pursuit of the highest. मेरे अंदर भी वही चर्चा है, वही पिपासा है, वही इच्छा है, वही साधन करने का फुर्सत. So that completely changes the world. This is, whether you call it a difference or a no difference, I don't know, but clearly he has given a different drip to the whole approach. He says whatever you do is part of that endeavor to realize the highest. So that means the world need not be completely rejected as absolute mithya or false. In fact, even this idea of mithya or falsehood also, even in the highest Shankara philosophy. Recently I was listening to some of the talks on Mandukya Karika. There also, the world is mithya in the sense they are not saying it is completely non-existent. The emphasis on the anityatva of the world, and that sometimes they say whatever is anitya is mithya. So that is how they establish the mithyatva of the world. See, because there are two reasons they gave why the world is mithya. One is drishyatva, because whatever you see, whatever you experience, that is because there is an experiencer, and whatever is experienced has no independent entity, separate existence, and therefore it is mithya. Number one. Second is anityatva, because it is impermanent, constantly changing, vanishing. It is not. So again and again, they only deal with this avasthatraya, jagrat, swapna, shushti. उसके अंदर भी जो भी है आपकी immediately they go back to the idea of the dream, what happens, and there is completely that is replicated when you are awake. So it is as unreal as a dream, इसीलिए वो मिथ्या है. But the idea of Swamiji and Sri Ramakrishna, Swamiji's idea is Sri Ramakrishna's idea only, completely has given a different world view. You no longer look upon the world as complete mithya or absolutely worthless. Every endeavor in the world. So he says, Swamiji, whether you are the Kisan, whether you're a farmer or a teacher or wherever you are, every one of you, knowingly, unknowingly, all of us are pursuing only the highest idea of Vedanta. Now, the results are depending upon the intensity of your pursuit. Which Ramakrishna himself says, Annapurna Bhandare Kevo Abhukta Takena. In the Annapurna Bhandar, no one remains hungry. Some get it in the morning, some in the afternoon, some in the late evening also. Depending upon your hunger, you get it. So you are all in the pursuit of the Vedanta only. But if you have the tremendous urge, drive and that intensity, you get it earlier. So imagine the beautiful change he has brought about in the world view and about ourselves. Always constantly, we always to think that we are samsaris, we are useless, we are immersed in all that, and we can do nothing. No, wherever you are, you can pursue it. So really, if you take it further, what does Swamiji say? You say in the present condition, with the mind that is so clouded, so cluttered, इसके अंदर इतनी कूड़ा है, वही मन लेके आप ब्रह्म ज्ञान प्राप्त करना अभी संभव नहीं है. इस कारण से चित्त शुद्धि की बहुत जरूरत है. शंकर also talks about चित्त शुद्धि. So Swamiji, what is the difference there? He says, आप एक करते रहो. When the chitta becomes completely free of any malinata, when the chitta is completely pure, in such a mind, the highest truth is bound to be reflected. आप उसी से आपकी अलग प्रयास करके कर्म से विरत होना, दूर होना जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ेगा. That is a small twist or difference which Swamiji made to that ancient idea, where Shankara clearly says karma has to be given up at some point and you have to completely take to Jnana Nishtha. Swamiji clearly says, don't worry about that. आप अभी जिस स्तर पे है, जिस स्थिति पे है, आप वही करो. You go on. What is that? Nishkam. See, ultimately, what is the highest idea of the jnana? If you put it in one language, it's a complete erasure of this I or this ego. Because as long as this I, even if a trace is there, the knowledge of the highest is not possible. When the ego is completely erased or the I completely goes away, That's why, Ramana Maharshi is famous, this thing is trace the tide, trace the tide, trace the tide. कहाँ से? करते 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 आप ऐसे जाकर पहुंच जाए में completely it is non-existent. But Swamiji says that it can be done very beautifully, because constantly from the beginning, when you do this intense service, Nishkam Karma, always the idea is to erase your ego, get rid of it, get rid of it. In that process, you slowly reach such a state and the mind becomes so absolutely pure. In such a mind, आपका नैष्कर्म्य अवस्था वैसी ही आप पहुंच जाएंगे. Shankara says Naishkarmya has to be attained by effort, by giving up. Swamiji says आपके वैसे ही आप वहाँ पहुँच जाएंगे. This is the small narrow twist which Swamiji has brought about, because he saw that otherwise people were, in the name of giving up all action, they were going to the forest, going to the Himalayas, going everything, wasting their time, ruining their lives, doing nothing. And how many are getting it? Rather he said, no, this huge force, this alone can serve the society which tremendously needs this. He was so compassionate. His compassion was Swamiji's problem. That's why again and again he had to come back. Otherwise he would have been immersed in samadhi and lost to the world forever. ये जगत के प्रति उनके मन में जो बुद्ध की तरह जो करुणा, उसकी वजह से उनके पुनः पुनः इस सब में खुद का नियोग करना, इन्वॉल्व करना पड़ा. So he said that no, let us use this tremendous power, this force that is available, bring them to do it. आप जैसे भी, you see, spiritual journey is a continuous journey. इसमें कोई ही विनष्ट नहीं होता है. इसलिए गीता कहते हैं ना, स्वल्पमप्यस्य धर्मस्य त्रायते महतो भया. आप प्रारंभ किया, आप मान लिया यही मेरा जीवन का उद्देश्य है, मैं यही करना है, यही पथ पे मैं हूं. You start that, slowly you reach one day or other, at some time or other, जो भी है, because it will be a continuation from it. Supposing even this body falls off, doesn't matter. क्यों? आप तो सिद्धांतिक रूप से मान लिया, आप आपकी साधना प्रारंभ किया और वहां से आपका आगे जन्म में भी वही चलेगा. So you see what a comprehensive turnaround Swamiji has brought out for the sake of very ordinary aspirants also. इसलिए उन्होंने वे अधिकारी भेद संपूर्ण रूप से हटा दिया. Not only that, he said everybody is pursuing the truth only. Nobody is away from that. कौन कितनी दूर पे है वही बात है. So he clearly said that kind of an intense, that extraordinary thing, that would automatically lead you to a state of awareness. When the mind is completely pure, such a mind, the idea, see, that's why Naishkarmya, according to, if you understand Swamiji, it's a state. It's not something to be attained by practice. वैसी आप प्राप्त कर लेंगे. So of course the mission, Thakur's disciples, because they all of course realized and then did. Subsequent generation onwards, some of Swamiji's greatest disciples like Leonanji, Nishchayanji and others. And also you see down the line, there are here also disciples of Swami Vireshwaranji. He used to work. He was so involved. And suddenly, from being the chief administrator, executive or general secretary, he was made the president. Huge change. Immediately it was totally a different personality. So that fullness, from that intense activity, the type of mental elevation, and that lead to that kind of an extraordinary personality. If you read there are two huge volumes, our Bhaskar and his team, they had brought out beautifully his own Maharaj's reminiscences, etc. There were occasions when people had come and sat in the hall for Diksha. Maharaj says, there is someone here who has already been initiated. Nobody is getting up. He says, then there is no initiation today. Then one person hanging his head in shame quietly walks out. That kind. What all he had done, of course they were so self-effacing, nobody knew. In the case of all, see, Bhutishanji Maharaj, disciples are here. When he was in Shillong and Cherrapunji, what hardship, what hard work. And finally, where he was, he could literally uplift people. See, I am talking about third generation, not direct disciples, not the disciples of Swamiji, people who came after that. Ranganathananji, he came to help in the kitchen. Well, hardly a school, not even school final probably. Such hard work. Finally, some of his diary notes are all available, how he had a vision of mother and all that he had noted down. So you see, Swamiji has clearly established that if you do it with the highest spirit, it will lead you to such an elevated state of mind where definitely you are bound to experience the higher and higher ideas, higher and higher truths of spiritual realization. And if one is like that, one can get the highest Brahmagyana also. So this is largely because it was the need of the hour, the condition of the world, and because he was a person of such extraordinary compassion. That is what that brought about this thing. Of course, this is all according to Sri Ramakrishna only, because Swamiji had clearly seen and learned from him. Somebody says, whatever I say, it's all his. There's not a single word of mine own in everything. So, Swami, see the life of Sri Ramakrishna. After the extraordinary Nirvikapa Samadhi, etc., when he came back, did he say that, oh, Dakshineshwar, there is no one, there is no office, nothing, no temple, only Brahman everywhere? No, he lived like any other person. He used to like jalebis, he used to hide when children come and all that. But at the same time, just at a moment's notice, he could be elevated to the highest level of samadhi where there will be absolutely no awareness of the external world. So he clearly said that, দেখতে পাচ্ছি বালিশ থেকে যেন উঁকি মারছে. From the pillowcases, the Chaitanya is peeping out. I could clearly see. His extraordinary realization of the highest truth did not change the external world. It changed his world view. उनका जो जगत के प्रति जो दृष्टि था वो बदला. जगत का उन्होंने कोई नहीं बदला. The world would be as it is only all the time. There are people, the same Kajanji, same others, terribly money-minded people, worldly people, useless, they are all there. They used to come, people could not even sit properly in his presence. They will go away, we'll go and sit in the Noka, we don't want to be here. They couldn't tolerate anything spiritual. And they were highest type of aspirant. Some like Adarsan who used to say, you please get me my next promotion, you please pray to mother. He also used to come. People like Mathur Babu, who was a Zamindar, was capable of every type of activity. He was there. Everybody was there. You could have come. So, the main idea you get when you come closer to Thakurman Swamiji is that all-inclusiveness. See, even now, if you see to many of the traditional Shankara musicians, they will throw prasad from a distance. There's no question of you are coming near and touching their feet or coming anywhere near them. Whole thing Swamiji, Thakur Swami, they have completely, it's all inclusive. See, that is why this Ramakrishna movement, this Ramakrishna Sangha, it's not just एक अल्पसंख्यक सन्यासी के समूह नहीं है. ये हजार लाखों लोग, करोड़ों भक्त लोग को मिलके, it's a combined gathering of such devotees and monks together, all in the pursuit of the highest idea, highest jnana, highest realization. हाँ, एक परस्पर के परिपूरक है, सहायक है. इतनी आश्रम चल रहा है. Is it possible to run all that without devotees? No. They help in ever so many ways. पैसा से, तन से, मन से, हर प्रकार सहायता करते हैं. And with so they come, this is exactly what Swamiji wanted. That you'll have, see, this will be like, that the like what we call like beacons of such kind of support. They will come, and people who are suffering in the world would come, unburden themselves, they'll practice, they will talk about God, think about other things, help them in their sadhana, and they'll go back enriched. That exactly is a role of our ashramas. If we don't do that, we are really deviating from Thakurman Swamiji. Our ashramas should be such vibrant places of spirituality. where the monks will be doing sadhana, the devotees will come, they will participate, they will also get that impetus to do sadhana, to go forward in spirituality. Otherwise, our ashrama is better to close such ashramas. There is no point in running them. So he said that this is a whole. There is no division. आप इतनी तो आप दूर रहो, मैं अलग हूं. No, this is one way, this one way. This is convenient, someone has come this side. This is more convenient for someone to be on the other side, but yet all are pursuing the same higher state. That's why Ramakrishna, after he came back from the state, he saw this. Previously he saw the things as they were. आप साधारण रूप से आपका इंद्रिय के माध्यम में जो अनुभव होता था वो पहले उनको भी होता था, लेकिन जब वो ब्रह्म ज्ञान की बात और निर्विकल्प समाधि में डूब रहने के बाद जब वो वापस आए, he saw the world was throbbing with consciousness everywhere. जो एक बार वो घास पे चल नहीं पा रहे थे, क्यों? He saw that it was throbbing with chaitanya. दो नाव वाला झगड़ रहे थे, एक दूसरे के पीठ में जोर से मारा. राम she was standing on the shore, वो मैच गंगा पे हो रहा था, चिल्ला के उठा. Hridaya came and saw there is a huge mark on his feet. कौन मारा बताओ, अभी भी उसका गर्दन तोड़ दे, कौन मारा? Ramakrishna was not in a position even to answer, because he had experienced such oneness. What was happening at a distance was reflected physically on his body. He was in such oneness with the entire creation, as it were. At the same time, was he keeping himself away from the society? मैं अलग हूँ, आप दूर रहो? No, they all used to come. The worst householder and the best householder, the best sadhaka, the future sannyasin, साहब उनके पास आते थे. All were entertained. So he said, I see everywhere. He was constantly only witnessing the outer shell was there. जब बाहर देखने के लिए कोई मनुष्य है, कोई ये है, जानवर है, जो कुछ है, लेकिन उसके अंदर जो is permeated with chaitanya, इसके मोदक के अंदर जो पूरन की तरह, he saw that there is all filled with chaitanya, so to say. The external, the shell was there, but it is all permeated by consciousness. That's why even in a fallen one standing somewhere, माँ आप यही रूप में मेरा दर्शन देना चाहते हो? So everywhere he could clearly see that was the result of his highest jnana or highest realization, not a world negating view और वर्ल्ड मिथ्या करके संपूर्ण रूप से त्यागने के बाद ठाकुर बहुत कम जगह पे क्या, वो तो not that he has not told or not that he did not recognize it's all really not worth, but constantly was again saying it's all mother everywhere. So that's why he says Brahman and Shakti abhed, like a serpent which is lying with his coil like a kundalini, और दूसरा है हिलना दुलना चल रहा है, like a serpent which is moving about, that is Shakti, and Brahman is that which is completely nishkriya, कुछ भी नहीं कर रहे, चुप है, like a serpent which is lying coiled up. So that way the same highest truth, the same highest Brahma Jnana, Thakur Man Swamiji, they gave essentially because of Thakur's own realization, अपना अनुभूति के आधार पर उन्होंने देखा. And this was actually, Sri Ramakrishna did not talk about the way Swamiji used to do or the language Swamiji used, but the whole thing was condensed in his realizations and his subsequent behavior. उन्होंने जैसे उन्होंने जगत के साथ व्यवहार किया, उसी से स्वामी जी ने समझ लिया, और विशेष रूप से उस दिन की विशेष घटना से दिस इज द न्यू अप्रोच टू द हाईएस्ट ट्रूथ. आपका तो प्राप्त करना ही है. नो वन डाइल्यूटेड द गोल, नो वन डाइल्यूटेड द हाईएस्ट ट्रूथ. स्वामी जी ऑल्सो टॉक्ड अबाउट द हाईएस्ट ब्रह्म ज्ञान एंड हाईएस्ट आत्म ज्ञान, लेकिन he said the path lies to this, not completely having a totally negative look on the world. That doesn't mean that we should be immersed in samsara and enjoyment and be in bhoga and all that. No, that Swamiji Thakur again and again stressed the idea of kamari kanchan tyag. That means give up bhoga, give up the desire for lust and lucre. उन्होंने कहा, लेकिन at the same time, is it possible to integrate? Otherwise, how do we live in this world? Yes, you like the idea of the highest truth, or the highest Atman. You want to realize that. You realize, you understand essentially in terms of ideas that you are not the body, you are not the mind. But same time, you have to participate. You are in this world, you have responsibilities, you have family, you are doing this, you are some married. Is it possible? That's why Swamiji has clearly said, yes, wherever you are, whatever be your profession, जो भी आप कर रहे हैं, आप वैसे करो जिसकी माध्यम में, it is not what you do, it is how you do that is important. कर्म योग में कर्म का तरीका, क्या कर्म ये इतना कोई ये नहीं तरीका. So whatever, wherever you are, you may be the simplest of housewife, maybe the busiest of executives, दोनों का एक कर्म योग के माध्यम में धीरे धीरे चित्त शुद्धि प्राप्त करना संभव है. ये अपना अपना तरीका से जिस पथ पे जाने में मैं आगे चल सकूं. What is it that really is most convenient form of practice for me? That is an individual's choice. One has to make a choice, but one has to be clear about the goal. One has to be sincere, one has to be serious. ये सब में कोई compromise नहीं किया. Swamiji never said you be careless and casual and you get the no. He said that intensity, that seriousness, it's all needed. That's why Nimita says Hinduism was completely redefined after Swamiji's that famous talk at the World Parliament Religions on Hinduism. कि नया उन्होंने एक संज्ञा दे दिया, so to say, where everything is included, nothing is rejected, nothing is apart from that. Whether he is a teacher or someone in the forest, whether in the guha, whether it's a monk in the hospital, anywhere, everywhere, all are in pursuit of the same highest truth, each in his or her own way, depending upon the situation, the opportunity, the state of mind, our tendencies, our sanskaras, बहुत सारे चीज लेके. So what was restricted to just a handful was spread across the length and breadth of the entire humanity. The whole world, the whole humanity is marching toward that supreme goal, with everyone being an aspirant, everyone pursuing it his or her own way. कितना intensity आप कर पाएंगे? This is so, you know, Sri Ramakrishna also had that highest realization, but he came back and he never ever criticized that this is worthless, this no. So it's all the same manifestation of mother. She is running the whole thing. We are all doing. Say, उनका अपना भाव ही वही था. आप जैसे चला रहे मैं वही चलता हूँ. आप यंत्र है मैं यंत्री हूँ. So I have no independence of my own. His ego had been completely erased. He said, I am. So the highest truth he called as mother. Thakur's mother was nothing but the highest Brahman or Atman. But same time, a mother empowered to run the entire universe. Whereas the earlier idea of Brahman was absolutely like the serpent which is coiled up, nishkriya, kuch nahi karte aisa. But somewhere he has brought about, that's why, you know, the samanvaya or the harmony, when we talk about Sri Ramakrishna, it's a harmony of maybe countless ideas. Not only the harmony of Sankhya, Yoga, Vedanta. If you see the detailed Thakur's Vedanta sadhana, you will be surprised. There is hardly anything like the traditional. What is the traditional Vedanta sadhana? It never talks of samadhi, it never talks of meditation. They're all completely yoga and other ideas brought into it by Sri Ramakrishna. The traditional Vedanta talks about only that vichara. You have to do this neti neti vichara. He says there is nothing नया कुछ प्राप्त करना नहीं है. जैसे आरसी में जो बहुत ही गंदगी है वो साफ करने में जी होता है. Like a mirror that is full of dust and accrustations, when you remove it, when you clean it, do you get anything new? The mirror becomes fit enough to reflect the highest. So that is the idea of traditional. But if you see Sri Ramakrishna, Mother, Swamiji, they clearly said that religion is realization. धर्म अनुभूति की बात है. There is a clear idea which they emphasized countless times. So ऐसा नहीं है मैं, because in otherwise, if you are a little intellectually oriented person, if you are sharp, you can talk that. You can talk Vedanta very glibly. But has it become part of your life? If you are, we have seen even, you know, scholars come for talks, the interfaith meets or other seminars and all that. Well versed in Vedanta, but deeply immersed in the world with lot of other add-ons. That is why, you know, Swamiji and Sri Ramakrishna clearly said, also religion is realization. Once you put emphasis on realization, then automatically several things get excluded. Because you take Sri Ramakrishna in totality. Because when you talk about the highest idea, along with that comes the idea of giving up tyaga of bhoga and money, wealth and pleasures and lust and lucre, all that to be, that's all very clear. So, you cannot say that I will have everything, I know Vedanta, I have read very well, this is that. No. So that is why they said that. That's why in his Vedanta study you will see the highest, it takes you to the highest Nirvikalpa Samadhi. That is what is discussed in great detail there. Of course, the Vichara etc. were there, but the emphasis. So it is an all comprehensive idea of the highest knowledge, and that is what we get when you go through this Sri Ramakrishna Sharda Vivekananda literature or the parampara, the tradition they have set up. So in essence, absolutely, Swamiji also talked about the same highest Atmagyan, realization, the highest Atman or Brahman. He talked about the same Vedanta alone, but the little emphasis where Shankara clearly said at some point of time one has to totally withdraw by effort कॉन्शियसली आपका अपना प्रयास से कर्म से दूर रहना ही है, रह के आप ब्रह्मनिष्ठ आपके अवलंबन करना है. Then at that point only you get the highest. Whereas Swamiji has clearly said that there is no question of our forcefully giving up anything. If you go on doing this intensely, the highest level, even to this, that's why Swamiji says, what is his Swamiji's idea, highest idea of karma? Total self-abnegation. The beautiful stories he gives in this Karma Yoga chapters about that mongoose and all that. Even to the point of death, even to the point of total annihilation of one's body. आप मृत्यु भी आपके अपना से लेना है, खुशी से, with full consciousness. You want to accept that kind of nishkam seva if you do, the mind will become definitely pure and it will be fit enough to contemplate the highest. And then he says at that point of time, automatically the work will drop off by itself. आप एक नैष्कर्म्य अवस्था में आपसे पहुंच जाएंगे, आपके जबरदस्ती कुछ छोड़ने की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ेगा. In such a mind, the highest truths are bound to be revealed. And the order has produced many saints of that caliber. कई साधु के बाद कुछ भी पता नहीं चलता है. They live so in a unostentatious way, किसी को पता नहीं उनके बारे में. There were, but some of the great presidents of the order and all that, they have clearly shown in their life how by the path that Swamiji had shown, it's possible to reach such an elevated state of mind. So this much for our discussion. I think some people wanted to ask questions. So another 10 minutes time we have. If you want questions, you can ask. Yeah. Oh, good job. Yes. Yeah.
Ram Maharaj, thank you so much for this wonderful retreat. So the point of difference where I find from Swamiji and Shankaracharya is in the kind of sadhana that needs to be pursued to realize the highest goal. Just I want to quote something from Upanishad and relate to Ramayana. So first from Upanishad. Upanishad says that Tameva Viditva, Tameva means Sadashukra Upanishad, Tameva Viditva, Mrityumeti
Nanyapanta Vidyate Ayanaya.
So,
knowing that you go beyond death. So when you realize the highest truth, you go beyond death. That's what it says.
And then Nanya Pantha
Vidyate Ayanaya. There's no other way.
No other way. So there is clearly a distinction between sadhana and pramana. Vedanta is a pramana for the
realized soul. Pramana.
Equality of
No, pramana is proof.
Proof. Yes. And in Shankaracharya also said, like, and that proof is the jnana, which will not come only by karma.
Yeah, you see, the point is when you reach the highest, you reach a state where you go beyond death. Why? Because there is no more fear. See what happens, every person in this world, unless he has the highest knowledge, the worst fear is fear of death. Because we are so conditioned to the idea that we are the body and we are the mind. This body going away is the biggest threat, biggest fear. Once you know that, know for certain you are not the body, you are not the mind, you are that Atman. Once you get the realization, there is no death because the Atman has no death. So that is what Atimrityu, Tvamev Viditva Atimrityu. So you go beyond death at that time. So whether this method or any method, unless you reach the highest, you will not get it. But then the point is when Swamiji talks about the Karma Yoga of the highest order, in some essence, in a small way, this can be initiated. When you go, when you go whole hog in serving others, even to the point of death, that's what he says, the highest self-abnegation. In a small way, you try to even practice that. Give up the idea, fear, because you try to negate your idea you are the body. Unless you do that, you cannot serve anyone to the highest level.
Just two more questions.
Yeah.
Two more points. Thakur also says that even for a householder, he should once in a while go back in solitude and
Yeah.
then contemplate on God. So it seems that Thakur also says that karma is necessary, but at the same time, we should be able to retreat back from the
Yeah. See, the point is, nothing should be wrongly understood and overemphasized. See, Swamiji, why he was so much emphasizing? Because he was, as I said, he was overcome by compassion for the world. But see, in his own case, when he wanted Swami Virajanji to go for some relief work or something, but Virajanji was given to meditating 15-20 hours a day. That kind of a person he was. So almost practically he said, "No, I am not in a mood to go." Something like that. Swamiji appreciated it. So the Swamiji's main fear was people who are not really prepared. They think that they are like that and they go and waste that time. That's what his fear was. So, so Thakur, what he says is wonderful, because now and then, unless you get out of where you are, you get immersed in that. No? So, see, if you do with that complete awareness, you can do from wherever you are. But it's very difficult that also, because Thakur himself says, अना ये निष्काम बताते रहते हैं, कहाँ से आसक्ति घुस जाते हैं पता ही नहीं चलता है. So naturally, see, mother also says, mother who emphasized so much on work, her own life, morning 3 to night 11 o'clock, so intensely working. But she herself says, every day when you sit for meditation, you must don't start meditating immediately. आप सोचो कल मेरा मन क्या स्थिति में था, आज क्या स्थिति है, on a daily evaluation. So all those who emphasize work, they never said that that is the solution. So there is no difference between what Thakur said and Swamiji said.
Just one point on karma and bhakti, like we didn't talk about bhakti in this.
Yes, because it was bhakti is also a dualistic approach. Bhakti is also one can practice, because then it takes you through that route, because essentially bhakti mein they talk of God as something very superior, full of love, full of compassion to be approached. And then, as Shatma's Samad discussed in Lilap Singh also, what is the highest idea of bhakti? Where the bhakta completely erases himself, where only the Ishta or the object of devotion or worship, that alone is there. That's also a kind of Advaita only. See, because Advaita talks of oneness. Here the oneness is defined as Atman or Brahman. There the oneness is defined as one's Ishta or God. There's nothing else. The Bhakta is totally erased. That is also a kind of Advaita only. That's of course another path. Yeah. Please.